Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, and Shalom. May the force be with you. This is Kasak Ma Keperu with another broadcast for you. And today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a Star Wars The Last Jedi review. And from time to time I do reviews of films that I think that are pertinent to what we talk about in terms of spiritual discussions. So I think that with the release of this new Star Wars Episode 8, I think this is definitely relates to the whole spiritual concept. And I've got my blue tie-dye shirt on my as a little way of changing things up. And I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but I'm colorblind, so I don't really know. Like when I go buy things like for a ritual setting or a shrine, I'll buy a candle or clothing. I have to ask them what color it is because I've been on this planet for a long time and I'm getting better at kind of differentiating the colors, but I still have to ask because I get a little nervous. I'm hoping I'm like won't pick the wrong color, and it just gets really, really funny after a while, you know. It's also embarrassing if I'm with somebody and they're asking me to hand them something like, "Oh, can you give me that purple glass there?" And I'll just go and I'll just stand there and look at it for a little while trying to figure out which one's purple. But it's interesting. But now that technology has changed and there's ways to deal with that, which is very, very exciting. But I have yet to take advantage of that. But anyway, let's talk about this new release. As you know, Disney has acquired the rights to Star Wars. And I actually went back and looked at the video of George Lucas, the man himself, signing the rights over to Disney at the ceremony, and he didn't look too happy. I thought he'd be like, "I'm getting billions of dollars," and it was just like a blasé moment. He was like, "All right, there you go." That was it, you know. I would be kind of excited in a way, and you know, he gets to kick back and relax and let someone else take it over. But I kind of knew, I suspected way back then that this was probably not going to be a good move. And shortly thereafter, when they released The Force Awakens, he had made a statement of, I forgot, it was some type of statement of saying that giving it to slave plantation or slave owners, I don't know, but he knew it was probably not the right move. Star Wars The Force Awakens was a piece of junk. I'm going to just say that's my opinion. When I went to the theaters to see it, I was just appalled at what I saw. And I did a review on that. You can go and try and find that. But that movie, I don't know what was going on with that movie. It was, I'm not going to go into that. I just can't talk about that movie. It was just like, it was so disappointing on so many levels. And as a Star Wars fan, growing up as a Star Wars fan, I was in shock. I was just in shock. And I just couldn't believe Disney did that, you know? And I knew, see, my impression was that Disney saw it as a cash cow. I knew they would say, all right, we're gonna milk this for all it's worth. But I didn't think that they would disrespect the franchise to that degree, you know? But then again, I should have expected it. Okay, but anyway, moving on to The Last Jedi. So what I did was I got a bunch of friends together and I said, okay, we're all going to see The Last Jedi. So I went into this not really expecting much. I went into it kind of stoic, you know. I was just like, I knew this was going to be a big letdown, and I didn't see it the opening weekend because I didn't care. In fact, I wasn't even planning to see this movie. So I want you guys to know that I'm going to go through a lot in this video. And I hope I don't bore you, but I'm going to talk about things like the box office returns, the storyline, and it's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen the film yet, don't watch this video because it's going to be spoilers throughout. But if you're okay with spoilers, it's fine. In fact, before I saw The Last Jedi, I was watching some videos that didn't indicate that they would have spoilers, and these people just dished all the dirt, and I was so angry. I was like, oh, now I know everything. So again, just a warning, this is going to be full of spoilers. So, you know, we all went in to see the movie, and after the movie was over, I said to myself, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good, you know. And then as I was as we left, and I got home, and you know, sometimes you have to sleep it off. The next morning, I was like, that was a horrible freaking film. Excuse me, I'm about to curse. That's a horrible freaking film. And the reason why is because, you know, I went to film school, and one of the things they pound into your head you have to really focus on film. You have to be an auteur. You have to write your scripts and rewrite and develop story, character. What I saw there was breaking of everything that I learned in film school, as if no one gave a crap. So let me go into this. First thing off, right? You know, the script was horrible. I mean, The Last Jedi had no idea of developing characters, of context, of surprises, of story, of character arcs, of story development. And when you watch this film, one of the things that's going to happen in this film is it really goes nowhere. You start in one place and you inevitably end up back at the same place. You know, you learn nothing about the Star Wars universe. The great thing about the original series, from A New Hope, the original trilogy, A New Hope, to Return of the Jedi, was that each film gave you an expanded awareness, so you learned something more about the Star Wars universe. You learned something more about the Jedis. This from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, you learn nothing new about anything. In fact, The Last Jedi resolves nothing. And that is the problem, because I think it's like almost like Disney wants to milk this and they're afraid to take it any direction at all. They're just playing it safe. You know, the only thing they do is kill off some characters, which is fine to kill off characters, but you have to do it in a way that makes some darn sense. All right. I'm just going to go over these things briefly. The effects were great. But this is what they did. All right. Let me give you an example. It was like you're sitting there and you're watching these effects and it's going, don't care about story. Just watch this. Forget about the development of the characters. Watch this. And you're like, all right, you get all this action going, but you're not invested in the characters. You don't care about the character. In fact, I took stock of all the characters, from Finn to Mary Sue to Poe. You don't like them. I don't like any of those characters. I started to realize that very quickly. I hate them. And with Lucas's original trilogy, you liked Obi-Wan Kenobi, you liked Yoda, you liked Luke Skywalker. Princess Leia was a badass. Han Solo kicked butt. You know, the rebel without a cause. You know, but this movie, everyone you cannot stand. You know, so let me move on. The music, John Williams, it's good. It's great music. You know, I have no problem with that music. So the main thing about this movie, which some say ruined it, and I agree, is the gender politics. The one thing I noticed in starting out this film was the abundance of women throughout the movie, in all types of roles. They're in the First Order. They're in the Resistance. They're just peppered throughout. And I'm just like, to me, it's too obvious. You know, you want to do it in a way that's subtle and gives purpose. So what I mean by that is you put the women in roles and you develop their characters. You don't want them to have like two-dimensional characters or one-dimensional characters. You want to have a good justification for them to be there. You know what I mean? And and then people won't complain. But when you just throw them everywhere, and it just looks obvious, you're just putting them in there as like window dressing, it looks stupid. It just doesn't look right. You know what I mean? And to me, it became distracting and very annoying. And I began to realize, oh, there is an agenda here. This is gender politics, this is SWJ stuff going on here, and I don't like it. And I didn't like it. It presented a bad taste in my mouth, you know? So, and the other thing that I really did not like was this whole thing of Finn, all right? And Finn is the black character who comes off as a Jar Jar Binks. He's played for laughs. And I thought that we would evolve his character and we would go through a character arc to where he realizes that he needs to evolve beyond a garbage collector or whatever, garbage guy, stormtrooper, and become something more than that. But in this film, at the very beginning, he's still trying to escape. He doesn't want to be part of the resistance. And I'm like, damn, are we back to this again? And then he's still with his little clownish little things. And then when he gets out of his coma or whatever, the first thing he goes is, Rey. And I'm like, what is your infatuation with Rey? And I'm fine with that, but I'm like, well, this thing better go somewhere between you and Rey. This relationship better mushroom into something. And it doesn't. It goes nowhere. And I'm like, so what is going on, you know? So the thing is like, and to me, it demonstrated very clearly that Hollywood is still stuck on it. Well, look, Hollywood doesn't give a shit about minority actors or minority film directors, all right? And it's very clear that they don't care. And it's very clear that they disrespect minority actors by not giving them good roles. Case in point, Kylo Ren, the actor who plays Kylo Ren, has a scene here where he has his shirt off. No reason for him to have his shirt off and to show his six-pack. But I guess because they're playing his gender politics and they want women to watch the film and get into it, they have him take his shirt off, right? But never do you see Finn in any type of romantic position or being smooth or being knowledgeable or being handsome or rescuing people because he's a black character. They don't want you to see that, you know, so they can't have that happen, you know? And I doubt they'll ever have any type of romantic thing on screen where you actually see him either making love or kissing, making out with Rey. You will not see that because, you know, even though they claim to be about social justice or about diversity, they're liars and they're hypocrites. And I'm going to go into a little bit about what that, you know, explain that. So Finn's character is played for jokes, and it's just, and what it does is it's a false sense of hope for minority actors in Hollywood because they actually think they're going somewhere or they're making progress when they're actually not. Because most of the roles that they get in the industry, you know, like when the industry gave the Best Picture to, what is it called, Moonglow or Moonlight or Moonbeam or whatever it is, which they're still shying away from African-American males in leading positions where they play romantic roles or like a James Bond type of character, you know. But anyway, I don't want to get off the subject matter, but another character is Lupita, who plays Maz. She might as well not even been. Why are they picking Lupita? Because it's all CGI, and you can barely recognize her voice. She's from 12 Years a Slave, by the way, if you didn't realize that. And, you know, so that was a joke there. So I'm, you know, Jesus. I mean, there's an interview. There's several interviews, by the way, with Mark Hamill, right, Luke Skywalker, and you should watch that, where he talks to the director, Rian Johnson, and the screenwriters and all that. And he talks about, specifically, he has real issues with Hollywood developing his character. And the main thing that's wrong with this film is Luke Skywalker's character. That is the main issue. And he comes off as this guy who, from the start of The Force Awakens, who goes to this planet on a stupid island where he's drinking titty milk from this alien, which is the most ridiculous scene. And he's like, you know, he trained Ben Solo, who became Kylo Ren, and he's upset because Kylo Ren now, or Ben Solo, turned to the dark side and hooked up with Snoke Doggy, or whatever, and I'll get into that. And so he's upset about that because he felt like he failed. And so he goes to this island to die because he feels like, oh, hope is all lost, I failed. Meanwhile, in the original trilogy, he went to the umpteenth degree to save his father from the dark side, who had already turned to the dark side. So I mean, you went through all of this effort to save your father, and you were successful, but you won't go through the same effort to save Ben Solo, Kylo Ren? That makes no damn sense. And Mark Hamill did point this out. He says, he even said it. That makes no sense. Luke Skywalker is full of hope. He's a warrior. He believes in the Jedi way. And in this movie, he gives up the Jedi way. And then there's this, there is this cameo by Yoda who comes off as a little child, you know, and doesn't really advance the story. He just appears, and he causes lightning to come and burn down the Jedi temple. And I didn't know that a Force ghost has can directly affect the physical world, because Ben Kenobi told Luke in A New Hope that on the Death Star battle that he couldn't help Luke or interfere in that. So I don't know how Yoda is able to have Force lightning come down and destroy the Jedi Temple. So anyway, I am going off the tangent here, but let me just put it this way. The storyline revolves around this stupid resistance ship, which goes through light speed, comes out of light speed, and they find that a first resistance destroyer or whatever can track them through light speed. So the first resistance ship comes up behind them and starts plummeting them with lasers. So instead of the resistance ship going to light speed again, they say, no, we go again, we'll use all our fuel and they'll follow us if they can track us through light speed. We have to stay here, come up with a plan. Meanwhile, we're getting hit with lasers, but our shields will protect us for a limited time. So General Leia is working on a plan. And then you have Poe, who comes up with a plan to send Finn and Porky Pig, Rose, the new character Rose, played by this Asian girl, Kelly Tran, to go down to, they take a trip to the Fifth Element planet, or this casino planet, to find this code breaker who can get onto the First Order ship and hack their something, and it gets convoluted, and I'm just like, huh? But the thing is, check this out. This is the funny part about all of this, right? So convoluted plan. This character of Rose, Miss Piggy, is this Asian girl. I'm like, her character is just useless. It's for nothing. It is for nothing. Okay, and I'm sorry, you may say, why are you being so harsh? Okay, so Kelly's a wonderful actress. She's really good, but it seems like the only reason they picked her was to get the Chinese market. You know, it's like, oh, we got to capture the Chinese box office, so we'll put her in here, just using her because they don't really respect Asian women. Because if you respect Asian women, you would pick an attractive Asian woman, a hot, badass Asian woman, to be in the film so that there could be a real attraction or a type of because in the film what happens is Rose does this really stupid thing where she kisses Finn and I guess shows that she has some type of love interest in Finn where there was never that indicated before, which is bad script writing. It's like, where did this come from? She just kisses him out of the blue. So I guess there's some type of I don't know, interest she has in him. So I'm like, well, why does she have to be why does it have to be a mixed piggy? Why couldn't it be a hot Asian woman? You know, because you know why? Hollywood does not want anything to compete with a white woman. The white woman has to be the standard of beauty. So they can't have an Asian woman or a black woman or a Latina woman who's hotter than the white woman. So that's what it all boils down to, all right? So anyway, so you've got this character Rose who's just useless, doesn't serve any purpose in the storyline. So I said, okay, well, maybe they're gonna do this love triangle between Rose, Finn, and Mary Sue or Ray, right? But they're not smart enough to do that because nothing goes anywhere. Nothing goes anywhere, all right? So then on this casino planet, all right, which I don't know how you have a casino planet in this Star Wars universe where you have the Force, because Jedis could easily, or the dark side could easily manipulate the dice, and you know, but anyway, that's another thing. So anyway, they spend an enormous amount of time on this dumb casino planet, and this goes nowhere. The story goes nowhere. And anyway, they want to find this guy who's supposed to be a code breaker. They never end up finding the guy, but who will we find? Benicio del Toro, who plays his character DJ. And look, Benicio del Toro is an excellent actor in a dumb role, all right? He plays this dumb role. They get him, take him back to the resistance ship where we have this dumb woman who's Admiral Haldo, who argues with Poe most of the time because she won't reveal this plan she has. Why will you not reveal this plan you have? Because you know why? It's bad script writing because she doesn't want the audience, us audience members, to know her plan, okay? So she has a plan, but she doesn't want anybody to know it, though. So that's why Poe comes up with a plan, because he thinks she's incompetent, which is rightly so, you know? So she has purple hair, and she has a dress on. How does this, like, decorated, well-known admiral have a purple hair with a dress? Whatever. Anyway, so General Leia is the only saving grace about all of these women on the ship, because she comes off as a strong leader. I mean, I enjoyed watching the screen time with her. You know, she made good decisions. She was firm in her judgments, and she made good judgments. The only problem they had was her Mary Poppins scene. And I don't know where that came from, but it wouldn't have been that bad if the film was okay, but the film was horrible, and that made her scene even worse. So the Mary Poppins scenes was this. Kylo Ren was in his TIE fighter or whatever it was, and he was gonna shoot the bridge. He felt the force that his mother was there, which is, you know, Leia's his mother, and he couldn't fire, but other stormtroopers in their TIE fighters fired, causing a hull breach, and Leia was sucked out. And no, she wasn't. Was she sucked out? No, she was. I think she was sucked out. But anyway, what happened was she used the force, and she guided herself through space and back into the ship. So we've never seen these Jedi powers before. And suddenly it looked like Mary Poppins flying through the air, you know what I mean? Flying through space. And it was weird, you know, it came off very, very weird. But you can accept that if, as I said before, the film wasn't bad. If it was good, you just would go along with it, but because the film was just trash. But anyway, so, you know, things go amok, things don't work out. Turns out that Benicio del Toro's character DJ is a double agent, and he turns Finn and Rose over to the First Order, and then there's a massive battle scene. Oh, and then there's a final confrontation between Finn and Phasma, General Phasma. And that's the woman in the, is it silver armed stormtrooper suit? And she's, I guess, upset because, you know, Finn is a deserter. So they have a battle and Finn kills her in a way, you know. And but the funny thing about that is I think that Rose shoots Phasma with a blaster and the laser just bounces off of Phasma. So I'm like, really? So why don't they make all the stormtroopers' uniforms or their armor with the same armor that Phasma has? You know? So anyway, oh, let me just backtrack. So Mary Sue, Rey, goes to this island to get training, right, from Luke Skywalker, who's given up the ways of the Force. Right? You know, I'm totally blowing off my storyline, but I had an outline. And Luke doesn't want to train her because he's given up the ways of the Force, and he's upset because he failed with Kylo Ren, you know. And so there's a long time on this island where really nothing happens because he's just not going to train her. Meanwhile, you get all these little cute Disney characters, which you can tell were shot by a second unit. And what I mean by that, it was a different crew shot it, and it never was in the same set or scene where the main actors of Mark Hamill and Daisy were at. So they never really interacted with those creatures. They were just there for laughs. And I just saw that as a marketing thing where Disney could sell merchandise. You know what I mean? So, and there's this whole thing where, you know, I guess she had an opportunity to be tempted by the dark side. But the thing was, this question kept coming up about Daisy's parents. Who were her parents? Who were they? And then it turns out they were nobody. They were just garbage people, and they sold her. And I'm like, so you built up from The Force Awakens to now all of this stuff about the parents only to have it be about nothing. It'd be about nothing. And I'm like, what kind of bad script writing is this? What kind of bad script? And then why are we even at this island if he's not going to train her? What is the point of all this if he's not going to train her? And he doesn't. He just basically doesn't. You don't get to see, like, after all these years, you would expect Luke Skywalker to have some badass Jedi powers. You don't see it. He's just this grumpy old person, bitter, doesn't want to know anything about the Force, doesn't care. And I'm just like, what is this? What is going on with this script? You know, it makes no sense. So anyway, Rey just leaves to go back to help the Resistance. And then, because, you know, she's been having these visions of Kylo Ren, so she wants to see if she can, of course, turn Kylo Ren to the good side. She gets there, and Kylo Ren takes her to see Snoke and which reminds me of Return of the Jedi. And then she faces Snoke, and Snoke says, "Oh, you can't turn Kylo Ren to the dark side. He belongs to me now. Silly you to think you could turn him to the dark side." And then Kylo's there with her, and then Kylo uses the Force to cut Snoke's in half, kill Snoke, right? And then he goes to Mary Sue Ray, and says, now that he's dead, join me, and let's just, me and you go off and do something. And the thing about this is like, who the hell was Snoke? Who's Snoke? Who is he? Because at the end of Return of the Jedi, there are no more Sith. The Sith are gone. So where did he come from? There's no backstory. We learn nothing about him. Because you know what? The one thing I liked about George when he did the Phantom Menace and all the other ones is that we got into the whole thing about Senator Palpatine, Darth Sidious, and Darth Plagueis. And it was really interesting to understand that there was a Sith order and the rule of two, the Jedi Order, and how Mace Windu was a master lightsaber fighter, and Yoda was master of using the Force and the various different Force skills like Force Speed, Force Lightning, Force Ghosts. None of this was explored. You learn nothing more about the Jedi Order, the Jedi ways, nor of the Sith. You learn nothing about this. Nothing. And in killing Snoke, you learn nothing more. We don't know where he came from, why he even was there. He's just an evil Sith Lord, I guess. Anyway, so when Kylo says, "Join me," she says no, of course. And then there's a lightsaber battle there. And she leaves. Then they go on to this other planet where where the Resistance escapes. And Kylo follows them there, and then there's a battle, and Luke shows up out of nowhere. And I'm going deep into this, right? Luke shows up out of nowhere, and then Kylo is in, looks like they're AT-AT walkers, all-terrain armored transports, and Kylo's like, "Shoot him! Everyone together, shoot him!" And they shoot Luke, and he's unharmed, unscathed, and he just goes like this. Then he does this really short lightsaber battle with Kylo. And it turns out that was really not even Luke. That was like a ghost or an image, because Luke is still on the damn island projecting himself. And then, big spoiler alert, Luke dies. For no reason, he just passes away, So what does that mean? No one's going to train Rey. And the Resistance gets away. And everything stays the same. You still have Kylo, head of the First Order. You still have the Resistance. You still have General Leia leading the Resistance, but she's passed away. Carrie Fisher passed away, so I don't know how that's going to work out. So as you see what I was saying, nothing has evolved. Nothing has taken a step further. It's still the same thing. And this is what the frustrating part of from a New Hope to The Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi. Everything took a step forward and everything broadened. You got a better understanding of the universe, the Jedi powers. You got more understanding of what was going on, and everything concluded nicely. These movies, from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, is a disaster. It is a disaster in script writing. I mean, they don't resolve anything. They bring up issues that later on, they kind of tease you with things that actually mean nothing. They introduce characters that are meaningless and waste your time with these characters. And this is stupid. It's just stupid. I can't say that enough. I'm just looking at here's some things they could have done that would have been really badass. When Kylo Ren told Rey to join me, if she had took his hand and joined him, that would have been a badass moment, because then that would have changed the game. That meant that Luke would have to get off that damn island, come there, and now faced Kylo and Rey and battled both of them and turned them both back to the good side of the Force, or the light side. That would have been awesome for episode 9. But no, No, Disney doesn't want to do that. Why? Because they don't want to have this female character of Rey, Mary Sue, to have any imperfections. She's got to be perfect. She has no temptation to the dark side. She has no checkered past. She's not going to go through any hardship of Jedi training. This is just stupid. This is just ridiculousness. You know, that would have been a badass moment. Now, here's the deal. Another thing that would have been good, when Kylo said, take my hand and join me, if she did join Kylo and had some type of love affair, romance, or interest in Kylo, right? And also was still interested in Finn, and Finn would have fought to get her back from Kylo, and maybe Kylo would have like murdered, killed Finn or harmed Finn, and that would have angered Rey enough to kill Kylo at episode 9 and turn her back to the light side. That would have been great. But no, we're not going to do that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, okay, I'm going off. Anyway, this is, I think I've covered that. Anyway, I want to go into some other stuff. I made some, okay, so Snoke, right? We don't go into anything about his background, other than the fact that he looks like Hugh Hefner with his little, like, outfit. It was funny because I was thinking that. My friend sitting next to me brought that up too during the movie. I was like, yeah, he does. He just needed his pipe, and that's what it would have been, a Hugh Hefner moment. You know what I mean? The thing about this is, here's the thing, right? That Disney is trying to spin this because the box office it's not doing well at the box office. The Last Jedi is not doing well at the box office. So they're trying to spin this in every way possible, except for taking responsibility and accountability for the fact that this is a bad movie. The script is horrible. They didn't listen to Mark Hamill. They should have brought George Lucas in as a consultant and listened to him, because he is the authority on this whole Star Wars universe. So give me 1 second here. So, and they should have got into this whole gender politics thing, or SJW thing. Because I think that, you know what, if women are interested in becoming Jedis or being part of the First Order and the Resistance, I'm all for that, but let them make that decision. Don't ram it down their throats. Let them decide if this is what they want. I see these Star Wars commercials as merchandise, and they're really just trying to push this thing. And the toys aren't selling. And so, you know, anyway, so let's go into, and another thing, what I was talking about before was like, minorities aren't making progress in Hollywood. And it really saddens me to see a lot of these directors, these minority directors, paying all this money for good film schools like UCLA, NYU, only to get out of these film schools and have the rules change for them. Rian Johnson, who did this movie, you know, I'm not going to talk about like it was a good job or bad job. But what I'm saying is, this opportunity would not be afforded to minority directors, you know, because of the color of their skin. That's the way it is. And Hollywood can lie all they want and say, no, we're about diversity. No, you're lying. You're an absolute liar. Because I don't see these mega franchises being offered to minority filmmakers, and they use every excuse in the world. Well, your script needs to go through another rewrite, or I don't think this would sell in the foreign market. Meanwhile, you're getting trashy scripts like this getting greenlighted at the studios. So this movie is such a disappointment, because when I saw Star Wars as a little kid in the theater, it was so hopeful, so inspirational. And the one thing I loved about this was the whole idea of the Jedi Order, the Jedi way. And it was inspirational, meaning that you had powers within you that you could tap into to get out of your situation. There was an order to things, that if you were a good person, that you could, that there was something out there that was on your side. You know what I mean? And that, for those who were into the occult, who was into African philosophy and spirituality, this spoke to you, you know? And now for Disney to come around, and this is what Disney said in the film: the past doesn't matter, kill the past. In other words, that's their message to the previous films, like it doesn't matter. Because these films have nothing, the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi have nothing to say. No philosophy, no nothing. It doesn't pick up and enhance the Star Wars universe in any way. Now, a little background on this before I go into any more. George Lucas, the original Star Wars, talked about the Illuminati, the coming of the Empire, and the rebellion against the Empire. How the Illuminati, and how what they did was they murdered or got rid of the Jedi, meaning the African shaman, those individuals who were the occultists. They had to get rid of them in order to become the Empire. And that those people who believed in the occult or the African traditions or Hermetic traditions or whatever you want to call it, were seen as part of the old way, the old Jedi way, and all those people now are extinct. And as Han Solo would say, you know, that's mysticism. But this is what George was trying to tell people. And there are many forums online in which theorize and talk about how George Lucas had an inside view into the Illuminati and all of that. You know, of course, which George denies. Yeah, sure, George, yeah. But that's what he was talking about. He was predicting the impending doom of an empire, of a new world order, and how we would have to band together and resist that. And the only way to do that would be through a type of new occult spiritual way. And he based a lot of his characters on the hero's journey, the wise old man in the tarot deck, the fool, the journey to learn and to grow, the farm boy, Luke Skywalker, who dreams of bigger and better things, and who learns the ways of the Force from a wise man and becomes master himself. These are life lessons. This is the fool's journey through the tarot deck. This is Joseph Campbell's the hero's journey. This is what this is about. This is why George Lucas studied storytelling, and he incorporated this into A New Hope. But what Disney saw was just a way to grab a bunch of money and put a political message in there. And they didn't care about the whole mysticism, the spiritual meaning behind all of this. I mean, Rey in this film said, "What is the Force?" And and it was never significantly answered. And because she's so stupid, she says, "Oh, you know, it's a way to move rocks." You know, and that's how we leave the audience with the idea of what the Force is, the way to move rocks. Literally, because there's no real answer that we leave with what the Force is. If you want to understand that, go see The Empire Strikes Back. But anyway, I blame Kathleen Kennedy. That's who I blame, because she's in charge. She's overseeing all of this. And I was really, you know, well, I mean, I was really a fan of hers. And when I saw Rogue One, I was like, yeah, because you know, Kathleen, she was out there firing and hiring and making sure that it lived up to George Lucas' expectations. So I was like, yeah, this woman, she's really on it. So when I saw Rogue One, I was like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, I had problems with Rogue One, but you know, I said, good, Kathleen, she is minding the store. But this is if this is what she's doing, I'm like, whoa, Disney. Now I'm not sure if like Disney is dictating to her orders, or if she's the one that's behind this. I don't know what's the hierarchy here, but I don't know. I'm hoping that, you know, like Kathleen, that she will look at this and course correct. Because, okay, now it's time to go into the real nuts and bolts, the numbers, because as it stands now, The Last Jedi, this trilogy is losing. It's a 50% decline per episode. That is a major issue. That's a major failure. I want to go over briefly. I worked on some of the box office numbers, okay? And yes, I did the numbers, because the numbers matter, because that tells the story, you know? Because they can spin it all they want and say, you know, it's not doing bad. But for Star Wars, a big name franchise like this, even though you may see that it is making money, no, it should be pulling in bank, and they know this. Disney knows this. So let me just do some of the quick numbers for you so you understand, because I did the percentages too. So I'm comparing The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. Okay, so for domestically, The Force Awakens ranked in 936.7 domestically, and The Last Jedi did 397.3. Okay, domestically. That's let me see. So looking at those two, that's a 57% drop for The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens in foreign sales has done 1,131.6. Foreign for The Last Jedi is 396.1. That's a 64% drop. So worldwide, we have The Force Awakens 2,068.2. The Last Jedi 793.3, which is a 61% drop. That is bad, really bad. So The Last Jedi on its second weekend dropped 69%. Now, if my numbers are correct, and if you're a Hollywood executive, if you are seeing a 69% drop in your second weekend, it's time to go Star Trek mode and say red alert. So, and by the way, these box offices, China is not included in this. So China probably could be, I don't know, maybe they're hoping that'll be a saving grace. Maybe Rose will save them, having Rose in there. So as I said, it's going to turn out to be a 50% decline per episode. So The Last Jedi is trailing The Force Awakens by $200 million after about, I believe, 11 days. So that's bad. That's really, really bad. And this, I think this is to be predicted. I think this is to be predicted. I think it's predicted because when you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it had a, let me see if I get this right. It had, it had 51, well, I'm looking at it now, it has a 51% audience approval or like, and 91%, I think, critics. So it's like a 43% difference. So 51% audience is not good, all right? And it's been declining. I think it was up, when I looked at it, I think a week ago, it was like 56%, okay? And I hope if you guys, if my numbers are wrong, feel free to correct me, all right? So it looks like that's a 43% difference, all right? And that's really bad. But anyway, they're saying that that's manipulated on Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't believe is being manipulated. But let me go into the first 11 days, and I just want to talk to you about how The Last Jedi has declined from The Force Awakens. So I just went back and did the numbers for the last 11 days, compared it to The Force Awakens, and saw what the drop was. So day one, the first day, there's a 12% drop, which is really not that bad because the first day, let me see, the first day was The Force Awakens did 119.1, and The Last Jedi did 104.6. So that came out pretty strong. So that was pretty strong. It should have did better than that. That's just my opinion. So anyway, that's a 12% drop. Day two is a 6% drop. Day three, which it gets alarming, is a 15% drop. And this is when you become worried. Day four is a 40% drop. Now you're in trouble territory. Day five is a 40% drop. Day six is a 55% drop. You're definitely like on life support. Day 7 is a 34% drop. Day 8 is a 50% drop. Day 9 is a 48% drop. Day 10 is a 66% drop. Day 11 is a 2% drop. And your total is a 30% drop from Force Awakens 571.4 to The Last Jedi 397.2. Hey, I'm not the greatest in math, but there you go. So those are your numbers. And I'm interested because what I'm looking at here is on day 8, The Force Awakens has 49.3, while The Last Jedi has 24.6. Now for The Force Awakens, day 7 was 27.3, but it jumped from 27.3 to day 8 to 49.3. That's, I wonder why it jumped like that. That's weird. So I wonder what causes, did they do any additional marketing that causes it to jump? And you know, day 9, it jumped from the 49.3 to the 56.7. That's a big jump. And meanwhile, the Force, I'm sorry, The Last Jedi it just continued to basically decline. It didn't, but then on day 11, it went up by, how much is that, 2 percentage points? Day 11, it went up by, it looks like, oh yeah, day 11 went up by about 2% from The Force Awakens. So it actually did a little better. And so I don't know why that happened. So it's weird. It's weird to determine these things, you know? But yeah, so when you, I mean, you can look at these numbers and make determinations on a lot of different things. But the thing that you have to understand is like when on the second weekend, when a film drops 69% like that, then that's a telltale sign that there is a problem. There is an issue. And one of the things that the competition that was out there was Jumanji, where it did $20 million higher than expected. And I thought that film was gonna flop. I really did. And this is another thing, a case in point, where I wanted to bring up, because I was a fan of the original Jumanji. I love that film. I continue to watch it. And Kevin Hart is an absolute buffoon. You know, I don't care what anybody says. That guy, he just annoys me every time I see him in the film. And in this film, he continues to play the buffoon. And I think white audiences love to laugh at him, but he embarrasses, I think, to me, he's just an embarrassment, you know? And he's the same thing as a Finn, but on steroids. And he's the same character as, what's his name, Jar Jar Binks. And this is why I'm saying Hollywood has not progressed. Now, we know that The Rock he's a minority, right? But the way to get away with The Rock is that he's not stigmatized as a minority actor. They try to play away from that. You know what I mean? In fact, I think it was one film which was like a natural disaster film. They had him like as his white daughter or something like that. So what's the term? He's racially ambiguous. They try to do that, you know? And I think it's disingenuous, and I think he plays both sides of the fence, and which is, to me, it's not cool. You know what I mean? And in Baywatch, he tried to play the hip guy, and it's like he was in front of this white guy, and he's like, "Oh, you can't make black jokes, you know, or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, you're black when you want to, but then other films you're not black. You know, which is it? You know what I mean?" So they try to play that with like Vin Rames, you know, that type of thing. By the way, I met Vin Rames, but anyway, that's another story. It's not Vin Rames. No, not Vin Rames. What's the guy's name for Fast and the Furious? Not Vin Rames. Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel. Sorry, Vin Diesel. I met Vin Diesel. Yeah. But anyway, and it's a shame that you just can't come out and say your racial background and have Hollywood be okay with that and cast you in any type of romantic role, because that's what Hollywood is afraid of. Hollywood is afraid of that. Because it gets troublesome. I know a lot of African-American women who are very light-skinned, and they have a difficult time finding roles because the industry doesn't know how to place them or where to place them. And now that the trend is now in commercials and stuff is to place African-American women with white men, like married to white men or in relationships with white men. That's what they're doing now. But anyway, with that said, as I said before, I don't see a lot of progress for minority filmmakers or minority actors in Hollywood. In fact, I find that Hollywood continues to not address the problem, and when they do address the problem, it's window dressing, and then they go back to their own pattern and practices. You know, they kind of appease you with these little token gestures, and then go back to their old ways again until when they see that you're no longer making a big stink about it, and it's really cheap shots. And again, things like characters like Rose, you know, I mean, there are a lot of beautiful Japanese and Asian actresses with a lot of spunk, you know, that you could use. But every time I see them casting a Japanese or Asian actress, she's always submissive and she's not as attractive as the white actress. And they do that for a specific purpose. And I think it's very, very insulting. And though Kelly, I think, is you know, she's a wonderful actress, I just think that they picked her to be a like if you look at the women, the white women in the film, a lot of them are attractive. Some of them are not attractive, of course, because they're trying, I think, probably to appeal in some sense the LGBT community, which is nothing wrong with that. But, they just need to get out of this politics and just get back to, let's produce a creative film, irrespective of all these other things. Let's just cast the best people. Let's just get the best writers. Let's just bring on Lucas and listen to what he says. Let's just talk about the force and the spirituality and give people hope and and things of that nature. But instead, let's not look at this as a cash cow. And the reason, Disney has a lot at stake with this. They have we have what we have coming out. We have the Han Solo movie, which I'm interested in seeing because they have Han Solo and Lando Calrissian, and they're both gamblers. I think that's a really good pairing, and they have I think they have Obi-Wan Kenobi movie coming out, and that will be great. They have the Disney Star Wars land. So they've got a lot at stake here. They're putting their money in all. They've got the marketing, the ancillary markets. They have all of the stuff that's that merchandising and all the stuff that they got their money invested in, and the returns on this movie is not promising for all of these other things. And what this reminds me of is Avatar. James Cameron's Avatar, because from what I understand, Avatar 2 is coming out, but not only that, he's got, 2 or 3 more Avatar movies lined up. And I'm like, hey, listen, Avatar, the first one was all right, but I don't know if we, want 2 or 3 more Avatars plus an Avatar land, And I'm like, I think that's going out of, a little too much. And I think so, pouring all this money into something that has not been proven on paper mathematically to be viable is a big gamble. And I think that this is a gamble that Disney has taken. And it's all right to take a gamble if you have the best and brightest minds behind it. But what they did was they just said, you know what, we're not going to even try. We're just going to get by on the name Star Wars and throw a bunch of stuff against the wall and hope something stick. And when it doesn't pay off at the box office, then blame the audience and say, well, you know what? You don't understand Star Wars. You should go see this 2 or 3 times because there's deep meaning here and you just don't get it. When I saw the original, when I saw A New Hope, I watched that film 50 freaking times. I am not kidding you. When it came out, I had, back then, it came out on like a VHS, and it cost something like $200. I think it was either $150 or $200. That's when you could buy a VHS tape, and you could buy it. And then it came out on the laser DVD, Laserdisc. So I had my mom buy the VHS, the laser DVD, and and I watched those things over and over again. I knew every line from the original Star Wars. I could write the entire New Hope script from just memory because I thought the film was that good. And then when The Empire Strikes Back, I bought everything. I bought, it on the Laserdisc, I bought it on the VHS. That's how much people love these films. And people wanted to watch them over and over and relive their childhood, relive the experience. These films, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I will not ever watch these films again. I was hard pressed to purchase a ticket to see it in the theater. I will not. There's nothing. There wasn't even in by the way, in The Last Jedi, there wasn't even a really good lightsaber battle. So I will not even. This isn't that worth watching. I'm like, I will never see this film again. This film is a big disappointment. Now, it's not a bad film. It's just a stupid film if you're a Star Wars fan. Now, if you're not a Star Wars fan and you've seen this for the first time, you may like it. It's a lot of stuff in front of your eyes to distract you from the fact that there's no story and there's a bunch of plot holes. So in conclusion, let me just make sure I've covered everything. Get that. That's out of the way. Yeah, got that. Okay. Yep. Hello. That's it. I covered everything. All right. So check this movie out if you want. I recommend you wait till it comes out on Netflix, Amazon, or whatever streaming service you have. So rest in peace, Star Wars. This franchise to me is dead because unless they make a major course correction for Episode 9, there is just no way this is going to recover because they really dug a hole for themselves with this. This is just, and you can't wrap this up in one episode. There's no way Episode 9 could. They'll have to call in somebody better than J.J. Abrams to fix this. You got to bring James Cameron. You got to bring a Spielberg. You got to bring somebody who can repair this. You got to bring in what's that director's name? Ron Armstrong. You got to bring somebody in on this. Anyway, so until my next broadcast, this is Kasak Het-Heru. Hey, listen, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel. And share it with your friends and family. I also have a Patreon campaign that you can subscribe to for just $1 to keep this going so I can make more videos. So until my next video, may the force be with you, and Amun Ra.